music has stopped, folks. Sorry about that. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another great edition of the Wrestling Lounge. I'm Brian. I'm Brian, your host, along with my co-host Harold. He's known around the independent wrestling scene and the wrestling world as referee Radar Martin. Welcome to the show, Harold.
Good afternoon. How are you today, Brian?
I'm doing good. My voice is a little bit hoarse because I took a nap, but I'm doing good other than that. But a minute ago I heard the music going, and then I thought it was still going on, but apparently the music stopped. So, but anyway, ladies and gentlemen, we hope that you had a great Labor Day this past Monday. We hope y'all had a great Labor Day out there. Before we get into the show and we bring our guest on, though, as I see our guest is on the line, I do want to plug, as always, if you're a wrestling fan of your old content, classic content, go and check out nwaclassics.com. On demand, it's $8.99 a month. You can't beat that. WWE Network is, I believe, $9.99 a month, and you see rare classic footage of golden age of wrestling that you've never seen before. That is released for the first time on NWA Classics. You get to see the exotic Adrian Street. You get to see the fabulous. Not the Fabulous. You get to see the Fantastics. You get to see Superstar Billy Dundee, the American Dream, Dusty Rhodes, Chief Wahoo McDaniel, the Rock and Roll Express, and so on and so on. But you get to see so many great stars for such a great price. Remember, it's nwaclassics.com, and that's on demand 24/7, $8.99 a month. So that's I have it myself, and I love it. It's something that you'll really love if you're into the golden age of wrestling, because you get to see, back when it was really, really good. You get to see Ric Flair and so many other people. But anyway, without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, I want to bring on our guest at this time. He is a former NWA Atlanta wrestling superstar, and he is a current Southern Fried Championship wrestling superstar. Let's welcome Logan Creed to the show.
How's it going, brother?
Hey,
good. How are you
going
today?
Good. How are you doing?
I'm good, man. I was listening to you plug the NWA Classics.
Yes, NWA Classics is great. It's awesome. They have so much content on there that it's for any wrestling fan out there, that's interested in seeing some of the classic bouts that took place many, many years ago.
So anyway,
go ahead.
I wanted to get some background on you, Logan. How tall are you? How big are you? I keep hearing different estimates.
Different measurements?
Yeah, different ones, yeah.
I'm 6'8", 275.
Okay. And who trained you? How did you get your start?
I actually started wrestling straight out of college. I wrestled for East Georgia College, and I met a professor there and met a couple of guys that were in the business around Swainsboro, Georgia. Back in that time, the name of the company was GPXW, which many people probably have never heard of. But some of the guys, the main guy out of there that trained me was Sean Hunter, who people may be familiar with through AWN.
Okay, yeah.
And then
did you get your start there at AWN?
Yeah, I started there. Yeah, I started with GPXW, but through that and then through Sean, we moved on to AWN. And then together, I continued my training there with him and some other guys, kind of, watching over the both of us. We were both very young he was a little older than I was, but he wasn't very established in the business himself when he took me under his wing. But I don't think he did a bad job at all.
Well, okay. Sorry.
So straight out of college, did you decide then that you wanted to be a professional wrestler, or was it something else that inspired you to do that?
I think wrestling was something I've wanted to do since I was a little kid. There's a picture my dad always likes to kind of post and go back to times when I was probably 1 or 2 years old. But it's a Christmas picture of me with the old WWF wrestling ring, and I'm playing with the action figures. And it's one of those things that, even from childhood, I used to sit and watch pay-per-views, in Spanish and French, whatever language we could get them in on the satellite dish. And I would sit and I was perplexed and amazed by what was happening. And it was just always something I wanted to do growing up. Never really knew, that I would get into it until I was in college, and then saw it as an opportunity. But as soon as I saw that opportunity, I took it.
Now, when you were in college or high school, did you wrestle or play football or do?
Yeah, I wrestled and played football through high school. I was more of a football player in high school, and actually went to Georgia Southern University to play football. And then I transferred from Georgia Southern to East Georgia, where I started wrestling for the college there. So I wrestled for 2 years at East Georgia.
And what position did you play in football?
What's that?
What position did you play in football for us football
fans? I was defensive tackle.
Oh, okay.
You were in a stable called Toombs County Connection with the late Joey Kidman and Scotty Bullwinkle. I have to ask you, what was that like to work with them, especially the late Joey Kidman?
Joey was my friend, first and foremost. In this business, you make a lot of acquaintances and you don't make many friends. And he was, I call him a friend, and I know he called me a friend, even after his injury, and he wasn't wrestling anymore. We stayed in contact with each other constantly. Sometimes we would talk at 3 or 4 in the morning, just about random stuff, about storylines that we wanted to do when he come back, about tag teams that we were going to do when he come back. So there was a lot of me and him. We were the same in a lot of ways. There's a lot of the same characteristics, a lot of the same personality traits. We were very outgoing people. We enjoyed being out. We enjoyed being seen. We wanted to walk in a room and take everybody's attention there, whether it be at a wrestling show or just walking into a store. We wanted people to know we were there. And so we clicked the day, the first time we met. And it was funny. The first time we did meet, we were doing a show in Lyons, Georgia. And we had never met. He knew me. He knew who I was. I knew who he was. And we actually wrestled that night together in a tag match. And we got to the back, and he walked up and he said, "Logan," he said, "I've heard so much shit about you, but none of it was true." He's like, "You're one of the coolest guys I've ever met." And we were friends from that day forward. And so it was, that's the kind of person he was for people who didn't know him. And a lot of guys know exactly who he is. He didn't care who you were, what you meant, what it was going to do to his career. If he said what he wanted to say, he said exactly what he wanted to say. He said what was on his mind, and he never held back.
Well, that's awesome to have that type of friendship with Joey, because I know that within the wrestling business, there's a lot of how do you say, politics, backstabbing, stuff like that's what they pretty much call it. And I know that's very hard to find when you do find genuine friends and stuff in the business and everything.
Yeah, it's a business like any business where everybody's trying to get to the top. Sometimes you have people that work together to get there. Sometimes you have to work by yourself, and then sometimes there's people that's working against you. That's a part of life. Unfortunately, in the business world, if you've ever been in a business situation, then you know exactly what I'm talking about. But that's the way of the world. That's the way the world works. It might not be the right way, but it's the way it is.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And in any business out there, I mean, it's just for some reason it's all about most of the time it's all about greed and egos and everything else instead of mutual respect and friendship and love and kindness. It's it's the other way around.
But I'm a firm believer though that if you work hard and you treat people the way you want to be treated, and you're honest with people, and you tell people the truth, and you are who you are, and you're a man's man. You hear people say that if you're a man's man, that's what that means. If you do what you say you're going to do, and honor your word, then people will respect you. They don't have a choice not to. So it's really up to you. If you're going to be that man, you have to be that man all the time, because as soon as you slip, people are waiting on you to slip and fall.
That's right. That's true.
Now you said you I guess basically got one of your first promotions was All Star Wrestling Network.
That's correct.
I actually did my first match for them too. But anyway, you also work for many others, including like Monstrosity. How did you like that? I know that it was kind of different. They painted themselves up and did all kinds of stuff like that. How was that experience for you?
If you've ever heard me on their show or the Wrestling Talk Now, you've heard me say it before. I loved Monstrosity. A lot of guys didn't like it. A lot of guys thought it was disgraceful to the business. I thought it was exactly what it needed to be for the crowd they were entertaining. The crowd that they were putting on a show for didn't want to see a classic wrestling match. They wanted to see people painted up. They wanted to see monsters. They wanted to see stuff that just as fictional, as you could get. And that's what they enjoyed. That's what they wanted. So I loved it. I thought it was a lot of fun. I always said I thought it took a lot of the stress out of going and performing. Because you didn't have to worry about what you were doing or necessarily. You just went and put on a show. And so I always really enjoyed it.
Okay.
I want to let the fans know, if you want to call in, you got a question for Logan Creed or us, call in at 773-897-6289. Press 1 to be in the host's view, and we'll get you on the line to talk to Logan Creed from Southern Pride Championship Wrestling. I know that you like Ring of Honor wrestling. Do you ever see yourself working for Ring of Honor one day?
Of course. I think that it would be dumb not to. I see myself. My goals. That's one of the short-term goals I think of this business is to get to that level. Of course, working overseas is another goal. And I guess probably a year ago, maybe a year and a half ago, I kind of set some goals of starting to work out of state, other promotions, and I've started doing that. So it's just a matter of working to get to that level. You have to train. You have to work your ass off to get there, because you see the guys that are there. If you watch the show, you see what they're doing. You see the caliber of wrestlers they are. So you kind of set yourself where you need to be by watching those guys.
Mm-hmm. Did you, speaking of tryouts or in the future, did you send in a video for the Tough Enough when WWE had that going?
I did not.
Okay. Because I had heard a rumor about maybe you did and maybe you didn't, so I didn't know.
No, I did not. For personal reasons. But yeah, I did not send a video into Tough Enough.
Oh, okay. All right.
I wanted to ask you, how is Brooklyn doing?
Brooklyn?
Uh-huh.
She's probably getting home from school, I would imagine.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, that's great. Yeah, we just wanted to ask how she was doing, because we know that you and her are in a relationship.
You said you wrestled in some different states. Can you tell us about wrestling in different states? Is it different, different crowds, different than being in Georgia?
some of the crowds are different. Some of them are even more old school, if I can say that, if I can use that term, than some of the Georgia crowds are, which is kind of interesting to me. You know, I felt like when I started traveling outside the state that I would get a new age crowd, but there's still places where there's people that want to see, like you spoke about earlier, the NWA Classic wrestling. You know, they want to see old school wrestling. But then there's some places that, you know, they love to see spots. They want to see guys go out there and put on a show, you know, a 20-minute match where they're flying all over the building. So it's just a matter, you know, it's just a matter where you're at, really. The bigger areas, I find that, like bigger towns, Atlanta, the closer you get to a bigger town, the crowd kind of changes a little bit, you know. It kind of gets more modern. When you got to go to some of the older, smaller towns where you have a lot of the older people coming out to watch the show, they like the classic stuff.
Now, what?
Hold on.
I was just kind of trying to get a estimate of what do you think's like the biggest crowd you ever performed for? About how many people?
There was 3,500 in West Virginia for the Night of Legends 2 show. That was two or 3 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, because whenever I get a chance to be before a larger crowd, I like it because, you know, it's just more exciting.
Oh, absolutely. It brings back. Well, I was at Dragon Con this weekend. That was my first time there, and I will take a second to plug that show because it's a great experience. I've always wanted to do it. Got to throw out a thank you to Slim J for giving me the opportunity to work there. But it's a different feeling when you know that many people's out there, when you know that's what you're fixing to walk out into. You know, those butterflies and those nerves and that excitement that you had the day that you walked in to start training, it comes back. You know, and that's when you feel alive for it again. You feel that drive that you had on day one that was like, this is why I did this. You know, this is not to say you don't feel that every time, but it's just different when you know that you're fixing to walk out in front of that many people and perform, because you're it's all, you're laying it all on the line. Because with that many people, especially somewhere like Dragon Con, it's a make or break thing. You know, they're not going to cheer you just because you're there. You know, they're going to cheer you because you did something to impress them. Right.
Okay.
Do you like Star Trek or Star Wars better?
Oh, Star Wars, man, every day, all day.
I'd heard that you were Dragon Con or something like that. That's where he came up with that question from.
I heard that you like Comic Con. So.
Oh yeah, we can talk comic books all day, brother.
Well, who's your favorite comic book superhero?
My favorite character is Incredible Hulk.
Incredible Hulk, yeah, he was one of my favorites too. I always enjoyed the Incredible Hulk TV series that used to come on.
I heard that you one time teamed with Gunner. How was that teaming with him?
That was a lot of fun, man. Gunner was an awesome guy. Gunner was great to work with. He seemed like a very humble man too, which was cool. A lot of guys that I've met that have been in the business, been places that we're trying to get to, have impressed me with the fact that they were just humble. You know, they were helpful to the guys around them. You know, they never hesitant to give advice, to tell you, what you could do better, what you should do different. And that's great. I think that's an awesome thing to be able to get that from people when you get the opportunity.
Yeah, we had him on our show, and he was great.
Actually, we were talking about comic books. I wanted to let you know that my cousin's husband, he hosts I don't know what the name of it is, but he hosts an online show. His name is Mike, and that's all he does on the show is he talks about comic books and and everything, and people call in from all over the country and talk to him about it.
Oh, really? I have to get into that. I could definitely be a guest on his show too.
Well, I'll definitely find out what the name of that show is, and I'll let you know. Because he loves the comic books and stuff. So.
All right, how do you stay in shape? You said something about that a little bit before, but how do you stay in shape? I know you're a big guy, you got to eat a lot, but how do you stay in shape?
Surprisingly enough, I don't eat a lot, and that's what people are like. No, you got to. I don't eat a lot. Like I have to actually remind myself to eat sometimes, especially during the week. It's a little easier on the weekends to eat because I'm usually out and I'm wrestling, so I'm immediately hungry after a match. But I work out. I go to the gym every day. I'm actually walking right now while I'm on the phone with you guys, and when we get off the phone, I'll turn around and jog home. So it's just a matter. I do about 2 miles of cardio a day. I really just started doing that again, to be honest, every day. I hadn't been doing it like 2 or 3 times a week, but I'm actually trying to cut right now. So I work out to kind of get to where I want to be, as far as is in my mental image and physically where I want to be with myself.
Do you have any type of nutrition drink that you drink or anything, or any type of certain food you eat or anything to help you out with that?
I take protein. I don't really get into a whole lot of the different pre-workout shakes and things like that. I do take protein. I eat eggs a lot. I'll eat 3 or 4 dozen eggs a week. It just depends. I mean, I try to eat good food. I don't eat out a lot. I don't eat fast food a lot. I try to stick to a lot of proteins and beans and stuff like that for fiber. Try to stay away from the breads and stuff as much as I can. I do have them early on in the day before I work out, just so I'll have the energy to burn for when I do work out.
And what different titles have you held? I don't know if we touched upon that. Have you had a few different belts?
Yeah. I've of course been the Southern Fried heavyweight champion, AWN Heritage champion. I'm actually competing for the AWN tag titles on October the 30th. For people that are in that area in Fort Valley, come out and check that out. Me and Fried Eddie are going to be tag teaming. Of course, the Southern Fried Tag Team Championship titles, which everybody should remember what happened with that, with Drew Adler turning and for whatever reason. But so yeah, I've held a few. There's some that I don't remember right offhand.
Which one would you like to hold that you haven't held?
Probably the NWA World Title.
Okay.
I think that title has a lot of respect in the state and with the guys, with the guys around this area. So yeah, that would definitely be one.
Okay.
Speaking of NWA World Title, what was your experience like working for NWA Atlanta?
Oh, I really enjoyed it. It's a great place to work. I worked with a lot of the guys that do that show on other shows, so it wasn't like walking into a foreign place. But yeah, it's a fun place to work. There's a lot of the shows in our area are fun to work. I enjoy the locker room. I enjoy the guys I get to work with. Everybody is it's a brotherhood, and that's something that we spoke about earlier. But it's nice to be able to walk in and feel comfortable with the people that you're going to be working with.
I wanted to ask you about somebody. I don't know if you know if they're still wrestling or where they're at or not, but I've noticed they disappeared off Facebook, and I haven't really seen much of them. Curry Kid, do you know what happened to him?
Curry Kid, I do not actually. I haven't seen him. I've seen him at a Platinum show last time I saw him, but I haven't seen him.
Okay.
Now I have a few names I'm gonna ask you about, and I just want you to give me a few like statements or whatever you think of them. Tyson Dean.
Great performer. I've had a chance to work with him in Dublin, Georgia. That's the only time we've been able to work. But he's a lot of fun to work with. He really knows how to work a crowd. If you've ever seen him perform, yeah, he makes your job a lot easier when he walks through the curtain. So.
What about Jeter?
Jeter's the only guy that I have to look up to. He's a bit. If you think I'm big, then Jeter walks in a room. It kind of takes that away a little bit. We like to poke fun at each other sometimes, depending on what shoes we're wearing. One might be taller than the other, but yeah, he's also, to be as big as he is, man. He's a great performer as well.
And what about Johnny Romano?
Johnny is an old friend, man. He was one of those guys back when I first started that I was able to meet when I was still relatively young in the business, and he's always been a character, you know. He definitely lives his persona, and I've always enjoyed working with him. He's always quick to tell me when I see him that one of his favorite matches that he ever had was with me in Albany.
Okay. Do you have a favorite tag team partner that you like to tag with?
That's a tough question because I haven't really been in a whole lot of tag teams.
Okay. All right. Well, I guess just leave it at that. All right.
I have one final question on my part, and then I'll let Harold finish up the interview with you. My last question for you is, who was your toughest opponent? Who's your toughest opponent, best opponent? Uh-huh.
My toughest opponent to date has been Drew Adler. Just because he knows me so well, I know him so well. We've wrestled each other many times, and it's one of those things that when we get in the ring together, and knowing each other so well, it's a constant, almost like a game of chess. Trying to see who can outmove the other guy, and it makes for some really good entertainment matches.
Okay.
All right. Do you prefer wrestling the smaller guys or the large guys, or do you not really care?
I don't think I have a preference. Being a bigger guy, a lot of times I've found that I'm usually in the ring with a smaller guy, so I've kind of learned to wrestle like that throughout my career, and it's almost been tougher throughout time to get used to working a guy that is my size or bigger than me. So, but I don't think one is overly. I'd rather work one over the other because I like either match. Either match can be entertaining. So.
How was it working the last Anarchy show? I guess before they closed down, where you were in War Games type thing, and you were bleeding in the steel cage.
Yeah. That was. I'm glad. I'm sorry that, and I talked to Jeff Bailey about this over the weekend, but because I went back once I started working with him, and I was watching some of the older shows, and Bill Behrens had contacted me. Probably about this time last year about coming in, and I was kind of fully booked and didn't really have, couldn't really make the shows that he wanted me to be at because of the bookings I'd already taken. Mm-hmm. So we decided to wait till the first of the year. So I'm only sorry that I didn't get there sooner before Bill stepped out, but I'm so thankful that I was there, for the end, and to be able to work with them, and work with Jeff, and work with Bill, and just be able to be in that locker room, in that atmosphere, and kind of feel that desire and that fight from guys, because that was one of those places where guys went to try to get somewhere. You look at the guys that come out of it,
right?
And people, you knew that when you walked in, regardless of what was happening, you knew when you walked in that you were somewhere special. If you've never been to that arena, if you've never seen a show there, then you should before you get out of wrestling, you should want to be in that building and see a show or either perform a show there, because it really it's just something different, you know. It's not really something you can explain. It's just something you feel when you walk in.
We want to ask you before you go though, Logan. Do you have any upcoming appearances you'd like to promote to the fans?
I'll be in LaGrange this Friday night for LCW. I've actually have a Saturday off this weekend, but that doesn't mean I'm going to take it off. I think I'm just going to show up somewhere and see what happens.
All right.
And then, of course, we've got Crossroads coming up, as you guys know, and we finally get to figure out maybe what Drew Adler was thinking with his turn. You know, I feel like with him, there's some questions that need to be answered on his end. You know, I know he's been frustrated over the last few months with the way things have gone, as far as booking goes, as far as, you know, he kind of felt like he was being overlooked by some of the powers that be with Southern Pride. And in a lot of ways, I can't say I blamed him, but for him to take it out on me, who was trying to look out for his best interest, you know, I've got Crossroads is going to be an interesting story.
Well, I think a lot of eyes will be looking at that card and that show and seeing what comes from it.
And fans, go and check that show out if you know you're in the area in LaGrange, and go and check out Southern Pride Championship Wrestling that Logan's going to be at Crossroads. And we want to thank you for being on the show today, Logan, and we hope you'll come back in the future.
Thank you guys. Yeah, anytime, just let me know.
All right.
You're welcome. Okay. Okay,
yeah,
thank
you.
you.
Right. You guys.
Okay, goodbye.
Well, ladies and gentlemen,